Hello everybody. In this video lecture, we will cover the muscular system. However, we will not talk much about individual muscles because I will record a separate video, or you can watch, or I will find videos for you to watch about individual muscles. We will cover just a basic of the muscular system in this video. And as always, I'm going to use PowerPoint to help myself. And that's the PowerPoint that I'm using. Let's go ahead and begin. So when we're talking about skeletal muscle, we can divide muscles into several functional groups. Prime movers or agonist. An agonist provides a major force for producing a specific movement. And then we have antagonist. An means opposing something, right? Those muscles oppose or reverse a particular movement of the agonist. So agonist, antagonist. Muscles can only pull, muscles cannot push. That's why, let's say if you flex your elbow, right? So you using your bicep brachii, for example, and you pull your forearm towards your arm, right? That would be flexion, and your agonist would be bicep brachii. Then to extend your elbow, you cannot use the same muscle because bicep brachii now cannot push the forearm away from your arm. So you need to use tricep brachii as antagonist that will reverse your flexion. Another functional group includes synergist. When synergists add force to a movement or reduce undesirable or unnecessary movement. So back to our example, if we flex our elbow and we use bicep brachii, we can have some other muscles to help us. Let's say muscle brachialis or even brachioradialis, that is very weak flexor of the elbow, but they are synergist to bicep brachii. And the last functional group are fixators, and those are synergists, but those are synergists that immobilize a bone or muscle origin. And by doing it, they help our agonist. Okay, so we have agonist, antagonist, synergist, and fixators. How skeletal muscles are named? Skeletal muscle can be named by different characteristic, or we can combine this characteristic in a name. But we can use location, let's say bone or body region associated with the muscles. And we can say, let's say, rectus abdominis, located in the abdominal region. We can use shape of the muscle, deltoid muscle. Deltoid is triangle, trapezius, rhomboidus. Those are all shapes in the name. We can use relative size, maximus, minimus, longus, brevis, like gluteus maximus, gluteus minimus. We can use also direction of fibers or fascicles. Rectus means straight, transversus, like transversus abdominis. Here you can see we use two characteristic transversus, horizontal and abdominis, that location. Oblique muscles, fibers run at angles to imaginary defined axis, right? So that direction of fibers. We can use number of origins, biceps, two heads, triceps, biceps brachii, triceps brachii. We can use location of attachment, named according to point of origin or point of insertion. Let's say name flexor carpi radialis. So here we use actually action first, flexion, flexor, carpi. This is where insertion is, carpal bones, and radialis will be this location on the body. So it's on the radial side of the forearm. right? So that location of attachment, and we can use action, like I told you, like flexor carpi radialis, extensor carpi ulnaris. So that's that's represented by action, or like adductor longus, so adduct or abductor, right? Adductor, abductor, flexor, extensor, pronator, supinator. That's all action in the muscle names. Also, if you look at the muscles and we look at the arrangement of the fascicles, muscles can be put in the different groups as well. So muscles can be circular, and fascicles arranged in the concentric rings, like shown over here, orbicularis oris or orbicularis oculi. Muscles can be arranged in a convergent pattern or way. Then fascicle converge toward a single tendon insertion, right? So over here, pectoralis major is example. And when we have convergent muscles, then depends what muscles are activated, it can allow us different action of the same muscle. Muscles can be parallel, and those are the most common. So example over here is sartorius muscle, fascicles parallel to long axis. Muscles can be fusiform, and those are spindle-shaped muscles with parallel fibers. Example would be biceps brachii. Muscle can be pinnate, and pinnate muscles, they have short fascicles, attaches obliquely to a central tendon running the length of the muscle. And pinnate muscles can be unipinnate, example, extensor digitorum longus. It can be bipinnate, that's rectus femoris, or multipinnate, for example, deltoid muscle. So here we can see all these different arrangement of the fascicles. And of course, each muscle, serve its own function, or each arrangement, right? So remember when we talk about complementary principle of structure and function, right? The circular muscles, obviously good, let's say, to form maybe some sphincters, but well, we're talking about skeletal muscles over here, right? But they can be skeletal sphincters, right? Something that kind of closing this opening, or close this area or open this area, right? Convergent allow different actions. So one muscle can do, let's say, abduction and flexion, depends what fibers are activated. So, and so on. Also, muscles work as a lever system. And as any lever, lever system consists of several parts. So it will be lever. And usually it's, if we're talking about just a, just some mechanical lever, it will be a bar. In anatomy, it's a bone. Bone that moves on a fixed point, or a fulcrum. So here's a fulcrum over here. So we have a lever, that is a bone. We have effort. Effort is a force, and that would be force supplied by muscle contraction. Then it will be load, and load is resistance. So it will be whatever other bone or tissue or any weight that need to be moved by this effort. And fulcrum is a point of attachment where the lever rests on. And in anatomy, it's a joint. So if you look over here, we have a fulcrum. We have fulcrum over here, and we have the lever, a bar. So fulcrum is immovable point, right? Point of attachment of this bar. And then we have effort on one side and we have load on another side. And this type of lever called a lever with mechanical advantage. I'm not gonna explain much of this stuff, but very quickly, you see how this arm, so you have this fulcrum and you have one arm and it's effort arm, and you have another arm and this is a load arm. And when the effort arm is longer than the load arm, then this type of lever give you mechanical advantage, and it's designed for power, right? This is how you can lift your car, right? If you just, if you just go and try to lift your car without lever, that would be very difficult or even impossible to do it. But when you use the lever, you can do it, because look, that's your fulcrum, your car is your load, and this is your effort. So this arm is longer than this one, so that give you power, that give you advantage, mechanical advantage. Just remember, when this effort arm is longer, it's a mechanical advantage, and this is for power. Now, if you look at this type of lever, now, this is the fulcrum, right? This is the load, and here's the effort. So the effort arm is shorter than the load arm. So this is mechanical disadvantage of the lever. Now you're asking, then why do I need this? But this is for speed. So if you have effort arm longer, it's power. If we have load arm longer, then it's speed. This lever is for speed. So that's how we can divide levers into different classes. So first class is when fulcrum is between load and effort, right? So, so that's our effort, this is our load. And you see here, you actually can make any of these arms longer. You can make this longer, and then that give you mechanical advantage. But at the same time, you can make this arm longer, and then it will give you speed. So first class levers can give you both speed and power. How is it related to anatomy? So here's the first class lever in your body, right? So here you have load, fulcrum, and you have your effort, right? So the fulcrum will be the joint, and here it's atlanto-occipital joint, that's a fulcrum. So load is on one side, and load is the weight of your head, and effort is action of your back posterior neck muscles, right? So that's the effort. So that's a class one lever, and this one that give you really like, can give you both mechanical advantage, power, and speed. Class two or second class lever. So here we have our fulcrum, and then both load and efforts are on the same side of the fulcrum. But here we have effort at the end and load in the middle. So load is in the middle. So here, whatever you do, but your effort arm always longer than the load, because load is always in between, right? So that's always mechanical advantage, and that one give you always only power, right? So here's example, the wheelbarrow. Right, so fulcrum, that's where you holding it, that's your effort, and this is your load. So that's always mechanical advantage. So the second class, a lever in your body, you can look at the your leg, and this is where you stand on your tiptoes. So here's your fulcrum. That's your load, that's a whole body load, and this is the effort of your posterior leg muscles, right over here. So this one gives you a lot of power. And third class, when we have fulcrum And now we have effort between load and fulcrum. So effort is in the middle. So effort arm is always shorter than a load arm. So that this third class uh, um, represent mechanical disadvantage, but it gives you good speed of movement. So, right, so here, even it says like, oh, you know, it should be some mechanical advantage, but not that much, right? Because look, that's your fulcrum, and this is your elbow joint, and this is where your effort is attached, right? Bicep brachii. So that's the arm, really short arm. And here's your load. So that's really, this is not mechanical advantage, but that's pretty good speed, right? Third class level. Okay, so now major skeletal muscles of the body. Muscles, we have like 650 muscles, or sometimes in some textbook even more. Why do we have so many muscles? Well, because muscles are located in layers. We have superficial muscles, deep muscles, intermediate muscles, and we are capable of so many movements, especially fine movements. Think about, you can move your every individual finger, you can flex and extend your fingers. So that, you know, all this movement require special muscles to do it. That's why we have 600 more muscles in the body. But all muscles are grouped by locations, and they can be grouped by functions. And usually muscle in the same locations are synergist. But of course, not always, but most of the muscle in the same location are synergist. So what do we need to know about muscles when we study them? Obviously, we need to know the name of the muscle, a description of the muscle. And description can be some information in the name, like longus, brevis, oblique, right? We need to know origin and insertion. And usually we have a joint in between, and we always pull insertion towards the origin. We need to know action um, of the muscles, as what this muscle is gonna do. Is this muscle gonna adduct, abduct, flex, rotate, or maybe stabilize, let's say, your pelvis. And we need to know innervation. What nerves innervate muscles, because without innervation, muscles, skeletal muscles will not work. Now, two last slides, we see the anterior muscles, and those are superficial. So on this side, you see superficial muscles, and on this side, we can see like deeper muscles, some of the deeper muscles, not all of them. And next slide, we have posterior view, and on posterior view, only superficial muscles, right? So these muscles will be covered in our lab, right? So let me exit. So that's it for the muscular system for this chapter, right? Because I already recorded video about microscopic structure of skeletal muscle cells. I did a record video on sliding filament theory, how muscles contract. And this was just kind of very quick overview of the muscular system, and all the muscles are covered in the lab. So thank you for watching, and I hope it was helpful.